Happy Monday to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. It's that time of the afternoon, at least during hurricane season, where you get an update on exactly what is happening out in the tropics. Of course, we are gearing up and getting closer to going into what is typically the busiest portion of our hurricane season, and that would be the months of August and September. We're not quite there yet. We're about a week away, but even in July, we've had some decent action out there across portions of the tropics in the Atlantic and in the Eastern Pacific and even into the Central Pacific, with Hawaii kind of getting at least partially hit by one of those tropical systems. But let's talk about Don. Don has been a very long-lived tropical cyclone in the north central Atlantic, and finally today it became post-tropical. That means that it lost its tropical characteristics, no longer a well-defined center of circulation, and also the thunderstorm activity really just kind of started to fall apart as it moved into an area of higher wind shear and much cooler water since it started to drift to the east northeast. So it is pretty far north in the north central Atlantic, and it is no longer a tropical system, but it still has 45-mile-per-hour winds, movement to the east-northeast at 20 miles per hour, pressure at 1,007 millibars, and this is the last advisory for what used to be a tropical cyclone named Don. It is now post-tropical, and it should completely fall apart by tomorrow. However, there are a few interesting things about Don. Of course, Don over the weekend became our first hurricane, at least briefly, of the 2023 Atlantic season. So we have had our first hurricane, and it was Don. Of course, it didn't hit any land area, but it did remain out over the water, but it is officially our first hurricane in the Atlantic basin. It also was the 5th longest lasting tropical system on record for July. It was out there for quite a while, just kind of basically doing circles around itself for a while, but we can finally say goodbye to it completely, likely by tomorrow. It's already lost its tropical characteristics, but as it moves into even cooler waters and with that high wind shear, it should help Don to fall apart completely by tomorrow, and it will be long gone. So we will start to focus more on some additional tropical waves that are starting to get our attention. So this is farther south in the Atlantic, and this is closer to the Windward Islands. So this is close to pushing into the Eastern Caribbean. This is a tropical wave that we've been monitoring, where you see the X there, you see all of the red and yellows blowing up there. That's areas of showers and thunderstorms trying to get organized, but not really in an environment where it's going to be allowed to strengthen very rapidly. We do have some drier air in place, so that means slow development is possible over the next 2 days and over the next 7 days. Just a 20% chance that this will develop into a tropical cyclone, maybe a tropical depression or a tropical storm. Right now it is bringing some rain and storm action to portions of the Windward Islands, and it will likely push into the Eastern Caribbean, but it's going to encounter some of that Saharan dust that we've been talking about. So that is dry air. So that means it likely won't be allowed to really blow up into a big time tropical storm or hurricane. Also, as of today, we have another tropical disturbance, tropical wave that is developed here. And this one is a little bit closer to the east coast of the U.S. In fact, it is projected to generally drift off to the west-northwest over the next several days, and it could get close over the next week to the Florida eastern coast or maybe the Carolina coast. We'll have to watch this closely, but as you can see, over the next 48 hours, just a 0% shot for any sort of tropical cyclone development, and just a very slim chance over the next week that it would develop into a tropical depression or tropical storm. Just a 20% chance, but this one we will be watching very closely, because even if it is just a depression, and if it develops into a storm, it would potentially impact portions of the U.S. East Coast, especially the east coast of Florida or maybe up into the Carolinas. So we'll be monitoring that closely. Elsewhere in the Caribbean, things are fairly quiet. Gulf of Mexico, nothing to worry about as far as from a tropical nature at this point, so that is good news. Also, things have kind of calmed down a bit in the Eastern Pacific. No systems being watched for potential tropical cyclone development at this time. We do have a few clusters of showers and storms off of the coast of Mexico, but overall, nothing that is too concerning. Now, as we get into what will typically be the most active portion of hurricane season, the months of August and September, we're really closely monitoring these sea surface temps, and they have been warm even during the portion of hurricane season where typically we don't have very warm waters. We've seen some extremely warm waters. So you can see those sea surface temps for parts of the Caribbean, parts of the Gulf, close to 90 degrees, so kind of like bath water out there, and it is certainly going to add fuel to any systems that try to develop. But we've got one thing, that Saharan dust kind of hindering that development, so they're kind of canceling each other out. So if we could ever get rid of that dust, then we would have a high shot for these systems to rapidly develop. Out in the Atlantic, also very warm waters here. Water temps for the central, southern portions of the Atlantic, very warm, well into the 80s. But I want to transition and show you the Saharan dust. Not quite as thick as it was across portions of the central Atlantic, but you could still see it coming off of the coast of Africa and riding west across the Atlantic. It's really starting to get thicker, though, as we push into the Caribbean and the Gulf. You can even see some of that Saharan dust trying to push its way into southeast Texas, right over us here in Houston. So our dust in the air, those dust particles, are really expected to increase for Tuesday and Wednesday, and that could kind of start to mess with that air quality just a little bit. So we'll have to monitor that. It could turn to that unhealthy for sensitive groups category, but for now, it looks like it will get a little dusty across southeast Texas, but that also means fairly dry air kind of getting mixed in. So maybe it'll be a little less humid, and that would also lower our chance for any tropical systems heading our way. So of course, we have made it through almost 2 months of the 2023 hurricane season. We've already had 4 named storms: Arlene, Brett, Cindy, and Dawn. Of course, we've got 2 tropical waves we're monitoring in the Atlantic right now. If those were to get names, the next 2 names on the list would be Emily and then Franklin. So we'll be monitoring those 2 tropical waves closely right now. Just a low 20% chance that they could gain tropical cyclone status. Our tropical climatology will show that we are nearing the 2nd month of our hurricane season, and we're getting close to where things usually start to spike. In August and September, that's usually when we have the most activity. The actual peak of our hurricane season usually around September 10th. So of course, things are quiet as far as the tropics are concerned for Houston and surrounding areas now, but don't let your guard down, because things could ramp up and get very active super fast, especially in August and September. So make sure that you have that hurricane plan, you have your emergency supplies at home, you know exactly what you need. Review your evacuation plan if you live in an evacuation zone, and just make sure that you are ready to go just in case we would get a tropical system to pop up quickly. Also, make sure to grab our Fox 26 weather app, and also if you have cut the cord, you no longer have cable, we now have our Fox Local app. That is our newest, latest, and greatest streaming app. You can get all of our Fox 26 shows even without having cable. If you have a smart TV, you can just download that app, the Fox Local app, straight from your TV. Also, you can find it on Roku. I have one. It's a great thing to have, so you can find it there. You can find it on Apple TV and also Android TV and Amazon. So make sure that you download our Fox Local app, and also for your phone, our Fox 26 weather app. You can get all of your tropical weather forecast cones, follow me feature, any tropical alerts, tropical storm watches and warnings, hurricane watches and warnings. If we get those, which we could potentially later on in the season, you can find all of that as well. So once again, I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. Make it a great rest of your Monday, and take care.